Alright, so my project is a short history of the geologic time, and let's get started on my project. So, the first thing is, what is the geologic timescale? So, the geologic timescale is a hierarchy of the history of Earth, and it is broken into different subparts. So, first we have the thing the longest, the eon, then the era is the second longest, then period is the third longest. Then we have epoch, and that is the second shortest, and then age, which is the shortest. So as you can tell, it starts smallest to shortest on our list. The eon is the largest measurement of time and decreases all the way until the age. And on the right here, we have, this is a picture. So the only two eons are Precambrian and Phanerozoic, and they all have eras. The Phanerozoic has three eras: the Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic, and the Precambrian has three eras also: the Hadean, Archean, and Proterozoic. And then those eras have periods, and then the periods have ages. Or sorry, the periods have epochs, and the epochs have ages. So now we have the Precambrian eon. So Precambrian eon it's before the Cambrian period. Uh, this eon is also known as the Cryptozoic eon or the obscure life eon. This eon covers almost 90% of the life on Earth, life of Earth, and there's three eras: Hadean being the first, Archean being the second, and Proterozoic being the third, which each of those eras are immensely diverse. The Precambrian eon is approximately 4.6 billion years ago, up until 540 million years ago. So now we have the Hadean era, which is the first in the Precambrian eon. So the Hadean era is approximately 4.6 billion to 4 billion years ago. This era begins with the formation of Earth, of dust and gas that was orbiting around the sun. The surface of the Earth is mostly boiling sulfur, and there's impact craters everywhere, and there are oceans of liquid rock. Now, there are volcanoes everywhere on Earth, and these volcanoes are constantly erupting or blasting off. And so far, no one has found any rocks that are from this era, because the only objects that are this old are meteorites from space and moon rocks. And so any life that was created during this era would have been destroyed. So there's no real way of seeing if there's life or not. Now, and in the top left would be a picture of the Earth during this time period. So obviously it looks very different from what it looks like now. So now we have the Archean era. And the Archean era is approximately 4 billion to 2.5 billion years ago. So a lot of things have changed since the previous Hadean era. Most everything has cooled down now, as hot as it once was. The water vapor in the air has cooled down to form the global oceans, and the lava has cooled down and is now the ocean floor. The volcanoes have formed lots of small islands and long chains, and this is before the continents have formed, and so it wouldn't look like anything, still wouldn't look like anything like it looks like today. And these little islands are carried around by this thing called plate tectonics. Now, there's not much life. The only life is blue-green algae, which is a simple single-cell organism, a bacteria, and it just floats on the ocean floor. Right? It floats on the ocean. Um, and then land-wise, there is no life yet. So, in the top left is a picture of what the Earth would look like during this time period. Still different than it looks now. So next we have the Proterozoic era, and this is approximately 2.5 billion to 540 million years ago, and this is the last era in the Precambrian eon. So, at this point, there are two supercontinents. One is across the equator, and the other is on the other side of the Earth. Um, Supercontinents were formed by the collisions of the many volcano island chains. Since the Earth's interior is cooled down, there are less volcanoes in the Archean era. Now there are less volcanoes with it cooling down, and also because they're colliding together. The status of life has not changed much. We're still single-celled organisms, but now the single-celled organisms have nucleus, and a true multi-celled organism appears about 30 million years before the end of the Proterozoic era. So it's out of the 4 billion, sorry, out of the 2 billion years that this era is, it's not very, it's very, very minute. So, and in the top left is a picture of what the Earth would look like during this time period. So next is the second eon. Second eon is the Phanerozoic eon, and that is approximately 540 million years ago to now. So the Phanerozoic eon is also known as the eon of visible life, and it's divided into three eras: Paleozoic being the first, Mesozoic the second, and Cenozoic being the third. The beginning of life started in the Archean era. It was not until the Phanerozoic eon that life began to rapidly expand and evolve into what we know today. The key to this is that during the eon there was a development of plants using the photosynthesis process, which helped to produce the oxygen that the mammals needed. And during the Phanerozoic eon, the Earth began to gradually move to its present form through continental drift, continental glaciation, mountain building, plate tectonic stuff. So, the first era is the Paleozoic era. It's approximately 540 million to 250 million years ago. The Paleozoic era is sandwiched in between two major events. At the beginning of the Paleozoic era, the multicelled organism evolved into all living animal phyla, which took only a few million years, which seems like a long time for us, but looking at the 540 million eon, 540 million year eon, it's very minute. And then at the end of this era is the largest mass extinction in history, which wiped out almost 90% of all the marine mammal species. The Paleozoic era took up half of the Phanerozoic eon. There were three major landmasses during this era, and the Paleozoic era has three major periods. The first is, there's more than three. The Cambrian, then the Ordovician, then the Silurian, then the Devonian, then the Carboniferous, and last, the Permian. Now, most of these names originate from the locations that rocks were discovered during this period. And then in the bottom, they picture of marine life because there was a lot of marine life in this era until they were all wiped out. So next is the Mesozoic era. Now this era, Mesozoic means middle animals, so the dinosaurs were the most popular organism from the Mesozoic era, and they evolved in the Triassic period, but were not really diverse until the Jurassic period. Then the dinosaurs became extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period, except for the birds, because we still have those, obviously. And the last dinosaurs lived out in the late Cretaceous deposits of Montana, which is in the United States. During the Mesozoic era, there was a significant change of the continental vegetation. The beginning of the Mesozoic era was dominated by ferns, cycads, kinkophyllites, bentoleans, and other unusual plants. The modern gymnosperms, or conifers, began popping up early in the Triassic period. Uh, so last we have the Cenozoic era, and this is approximately 65 million years ago until now. So Cenozoic era had many nicknames. Some of them are the age of flowering plants, the age of insects, the age of telecost fish, the age of the birds, or the age of the mammals. The Cenozoic era began after the Mesozoic era, when all the non-avian dinosaurs were wiped out by the big meteor strike that everyone knows about. So, the Cenozoic era has three major periods. The first being Paleogene, then the Neogene, and finally the Quaternary. So about 55.8 million years ago, there was the most significant period of global warming, and it is known as the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. Cenozoic era is also known as the age of mammals because the larger mammals went extinct, so all the smaller mammals were able to live without fear of being eaten by the predators, and since they were able to live comfortably, they were easily able to evolve and become better. So, with the dinosaurs gone, all the plant life had an opportunity to flourish, which is why we have such a diverse plant population now. And then these are all my references.